Shalom, brothers and sisters. Sanbonani. Welcome to this channel. My name is Mpumelelo. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the subscribers of this channel. Thank you very much for all your contributions, your love, and your support. If you are new to this channel, please consider to subscribe. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video and share it with your friends and family. So today we are going to talk about the Passover, or Pesach as it is called in Hebrew. I'm mindful of the fact that a lot of people consider the sub-Saharan region as the promised land. If that is the case, their Passover will be coming in September, because the Passover can only be celebrated in spring. So as many people are going to celebrate, some are going to have their pagan festivities, which are called Easter holidays or Easter festivities. Those are pagan festivities. They include Easter eggs. They include the goddess of fertility, which is called Ishtar. That's where the word Easter comes from. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those who will be celebrating the Passover. But in celebrating the Passover, I'm also not talking about those who have distorted the understanding of what the Passover is and included their own things which are not supposed to be included. And this includes the resurrection of Yeshuah. The Passover was never about the resurrection of anyone. But the Passover, the Pesach, was about the commemoration of the deliverance of the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt. This came as a result of the judgment that was passed by our Elohim against Pharaoh and the Egyptians, where their firstborn sons were slaughtered. This included their animals, firstborn male animals and firstborn sons. They were killed. To protect the children of Israel from that plague, the children of Israel had to slaughter a lamb, take the blood of that lamb, and place it on the doorposts and on the lintels. This story of the Passover, the events of the Passover, we are required to retell it on the commemoration day of the Passover to our children as it occurred. Deuteronomy 4 verse 2 tell us, "You shall not add to the word that I command you, nor shall you subtract from it, to observe the commandments of Yeshuah your Elohim." We are required not to add, and this includes when we retell these stories to our children, we are required not to add anything about the resurrection or the birth of Yeshua. Is an addition. When these stories were passed on from parent to children, there was no telling of the future resurrection of someone. So I'm just cautioning that when we tell these stories to our children, let us not profane this day, these celebrations, by adding things that were not there. Imagine if these stories were passed on from one generation to the next, if there was no interruption in our history, interruption in the form of exile or captivity, this story would have been told the way it was told when it occurred. There is no other story. It is this story. So let us not listen to anyone telling us anything else. Otherwise, we will be profaning it. it is as good as not celebrating it. So the story of this Passover is told in Exodus 12, verse 1 to 30. I've given the background of what was happening. And so to the children of Israel, this is the command. And after their celebration, this was to be celebrated every year, continuously and from generation to generation. This celebration happens only in spring, at the beginning of the month of the biblical calendar. That is on the 14th day of the month. And this is anything between March and April of the Gregorian calendar. They were required to have the lamb in their premises by the 10th of the month of the first month of the biblical calendar. So the first month, or the first month of the year of the biblical calendar, was that year between March and April. So 4 days before the beginning of the year, of the 14th day, the lamb should already be in the premises. And the lamb should be, the requirements about what the nature of the lamb should be. Firstly, it should be within its first year. Secondly, it should not have any blemish. Thirdly, or blemish means it should not have injuries, it should not be sick, it should not have deformities. It must be perfect. So some people liken this to Yeshuah and say he had no blemish, he was perfect, but they forget that he was circumcised. So if you are circumcised, a part of his body was removed, and he was not 1 year old. But anyways, we're not talking about that today. The lamb or a kid, when it's prepared, it should not be boiled. It should be roasted. And all of it should be eaten before morning. If there are leftovers, they needed to be burnt, and nothing should remain. The bones of that lamb or goat should not be broken. When this celebration is made, you dress up as if you are about to leave. You are in a hurry. So you are dressed up as if you are about to dash off, with your staff on your hand, belt tied, shoes tightened. You're not wearing pajamas. You are prepared to go. Because this is what happened to our forefathers. They left in a hurry, in haste. This lamb was supposed to be eaten with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. So when we tell this story to our children, we must tell them why it was eaten in a hurry, why it is eaten with bitter herbs and unleavened bread. Now, unleavened bread is bread that does not have yeast, because there was no time to have yeast on the bread. But a day before the celebration of the first festivity, there should be no yeast found in the house. Food that has yeast should be removed. Even dirt from your house. Your house must be clean to prepare for the Passover. So what are the regulations? Who can celebrate this Passover? This Passover, the regulations are found in Exodus 12, verses 43 to 51. Exodus 12, verses 43 to 51. Who can celebrate it? All children of Israel can celebrate it. If you know that you are a children of Israel, if you are in a position to celebrate it, you know the calendar, you are in the land, then you can celebrate it. Make sure, though, that you are a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because you can't celebrate it if you are not. No foreigner is allowed to eat the Passover meal. Male servants or slaves must be circumcised. So there's no mention of circumcision among the children of Israel. It's a given, because it's a requirement from birth that they should be circumcised. The bones of the Passover lamb may not be broken. They must be kept intact. If they are leftovers, there's no such thing as giving it to the poor. It needs to be burnt to death. It needs to be burnt. It should be burnt to ashes if they are leftovers. So these are the requirements. This is what we're required to do. If you think that we're in the promised land, if you can imagine where the temple is, where you are, there's no stopping you to do that. But make sure that you do not profane it, because if you celebrate it on the wrong date, and if you don't do all the things that are required, you're profaning it. It is as good as doing nothing. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. People want to relate this to the death of Yeshuah. This is an addition, because Deuteronomy 4 verse 2 tells us we have no authority to make any additions to the Torah. It is given to us. We obeyed. If you add, you are disobeying. And the addition of Yeshuah in the storytelling is an addition. So let us be careful of the things that we do. I would like to end here, and I would like to hear from you. Thank you very much for your attention. Ngiyabonga, asante sana. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.